Mr. Snipes, please call your first witness.
We'll call Charmaine, and this will be my boss.
Members of the jury, while the witness is approaching, and throughout the course of this trial, when we're on sort of a short little mini break like this, you can certainly stand up and stretch your legs. I know it helps. Hi. Good morning. If you would please, before you have a seat, watch your step first, but could you please raise your right hand for me? You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth. Please have a seat. To be responding to questions from Faith Johnson, who's immediately in front of you, and perhaps also Mr. Gill or Mr. Lane to your left. Ms. Johnson, this is your witness. You may proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you state your full name and also spell your name for the court report?
Charmaine Marie Edwards, CharmaineMarieEdwards.
Now, Ms. Edwards, sometimes you speak softly, and I need you to remind you that everyone on this jury is going to need to hear what you say. So speak up if you can.
Yes, ma'am.
And answer in response to my questions. Where do you live?
1404 Barnhart Drive, Mesquite, Texas.
Mm-hmm. And are you employed?
Yes, at Stevens Transport.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Stevens Transport.
What kind of company is that?
A truck driving company.
And what do you do there?
Grad classroom coordinator.
Okay. What is that your actual title?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are your responsibilities there?
I start the drivers from the moment that they get a license all the way until they get their solo truck.
And how long have you been employed here?
Yes. About 17 years.
Now, did you, I'm assuming you finished high school, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get any further education beyond that?
No, ma'am.
So you sound like you have a nice job. You love that job?
Yes, I like helping people.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I like helping people.
What do you like about helping people?
I just like to see them achieve their goals and push them to their potential that they want.
And I'm assuming in this position that you are helping a lot of people day in and day out. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you married?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you married to?
Odell Edwards.
And how long have you been married?
It'll be 10 years in March.
How did you all meet?
At my job.
Oh, okay. So was he coming through and
Yes, ma'am.
training?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're responsible for the training and possibly the job that he has now?
Well, yes.
Okay. At least you want to take responsibility.
Right.
And do you and your husband have kids?
Yes, 4.
And what are their names and what are their ages?
Kavon Edwards, 18. Vidal Allen, 18. Corey Edwards, 6. And Jordan Edwards, he will be 16.
So you are the mother of Jordan Edwards, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you've been married for a while now, and you just said that Jordan Edwards would be 16.
Yes, ma'am.
But you've been married how long now?
It'll be 10 years in March.
Is Jordan Edwards your biological child?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How long have you known Jordan Edwards?
Since he was maybe 1 or 2.
So explain to the jury the makeup of your family. You've been married 10 years. Jordan Edwards would be 16, and of course you have Vidal. So tell us the makeup of this family.
It's completely a blended family, and Corey is both of ours together.
And so is Jordan belongs to your husband? Is that correct?
Yes, that's Odell Edwards' son, and Kavon is Odell's.
And who is Edwards' biological mother?
Shankia Stevens.
Okay. But you've known him and been meeting Jordan since he was 2 or 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little bit about that relationship between you and Jordan.
We had a good relationship. He was outgoing, and he was like my TV buddy. Like, we watched movies together all the time. Nobody else would watch Lifetime with me but Jordan. So there was, I think, Lifetime and Hallmark.
You didn't tell me your husband didn't like Lifetime?
No.
Wow.
No.
And neither did your daughter or your son, other son like
No,
Lifetime?
ma'am.
I love Lifetime too. What else did you, what else can you tell us about your relationship with Woody?
Oh, we talked all the time. Like, as he was getting older, he would open up more. And he was just coming into his own person. So he was a lot more open versus when he was smaller.
And did he play sports?
Yes, ma'am. Played football from the age of 6 all the way up until he passed.
And do you, by any chance, sometimes we women don't know all these different positions. Do you know the position he played?
Not really.
Okay.
I knew what a touchdown looked like, because that's what he would do. But
Yeah, something, that's all I know, 2 touchdowns. Same thing with you. So you don't know, and I'm assuming your husband probably would know that much better than you, is that correct?
yes, ma'am.
And so he plays sports, and he's been playing football since he was 6 years old. What about school?
He played football in school, but he was really into his academics, so he made really good grades.
What kind of grades? When you say good grades, what are those?
A's and B's.
What about how he attended school? Did he show
Perfect.
up and then he goof off and you didn't know where he was?
No, ma'am. Only time he would miss school is if he was sick, and that was very rarely.
So did he have perfect attendance most times?
Yes, ma'am.
I know sometimes in school they have what they call A/B honor roll. Those kind. Did he ever achieve any of that?
Yes, ma'am.
So other than football, attending school, did you all do anything else as a family?
Family vacations. It was times, because our neighborhood was filled with kids, so we would do adults versus kids, like playing basketball and stuff. And that was a way for all of us to kind of interact.
Now, I know you mentioned earlier that Jordan was your TV buddy. Now, did he have friends?
Lots of friends.
When you say lots of friends, is that only because he played sports or because
He was a people person. So quite naturally, it was never a stranger to him. Like, he always knew people, and through Little League all the way up until high school.
And so did some of those friends come over to your home, and did you all have gatherings at your home with Jordan's friends?
Yes, ma'am. And it was like vice versa. Sometimes he would go over to their house and they would come over. So it was always a time where we had lots of kids at our house.
Now, what was Jordan's relationship with his other siblings, his sister, his brothers, and that sort of thing?
Out of all of the boys, Jordan was Corey's favorite. Like, at night, when she didn't want to go to bed, she would go get in the bed with him and watch TV and play games. He was the one that always played with her. And as far as the boys, they were like best friends. They were all really close.
So now, Corey is how old today?
Corey is 6.
And she's your only girl, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it anything about Jordan that stood out to you as a mom?
Honestly, I would say he was my kid that I knew was going to go somewhere. Like, I don't question my other kids' abilities to go further in life, but like, I knew without a shadow of a doubt, like, he was going to go somewhere.
What was it about him? What was it about what you saw that made you reach that conclusion that you knew he was going somewhere?
It's like he always strived to be better or to do better, whether it was in his grades or football. He always strived, and even if he had a bad grade, he would always tell me, I'm going to get it up, I'm going to go to tutoring, whatever he had to do to make his grades better.
So is he a self-motivator?
I would say.
So you didn't have to push him like maybe you might have had to push Vidal or something, huh?
No, I wouldn't.
You want to now approach a witness, please?
You may. Both sides have continuing permission throughout the entire duration of this trial to approach the witnesses so as to develop their testimony.
Thank you. And by the way, Ms. Edwards, would you prefer I call you Charmaine or Ms. Edwards?
Either one is fine.
Out of respect, I'm going to call you Ms. Edwards. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Ms. Atwood, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1, State's Exhibit number 2, 3, and 4. And I just want you to look at these documents, these exhibits, I'm sorry. I'm not going to show them to the jury yet because it's not been admitted. Just look through those ones. Are you familiar with what's depicted in State's Exhibit number 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you familiar with what's depicted in Exhibit 1, 2, 3, and 4 prior to April 29, 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
And are these pictures of your son, Jordan Edwards, is that correct?
Yes.
And do they accurately and fairly reflect what Jordan Edwards and what he looked like and what he was doing prior to April 29, 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to offer these into evidence, or we want to tender them to opposing counsel for their review.
Judge, we don't have any objection.
States 1 through 4 admitted for all purposes. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you see the State's Exhibit number 1 that's now been admitted. How old was your son in that picture?
15.
Do you know the occasion that that picture was taken?
That's his freshman yearbook picture.
Well, it looks pretty nice on there. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, so when you said that was his freshman picture, was he actually at the end of his freshman class or at the beginning?
Beginning.
And I want to show you State's Exhibit number 2. What is he doing there?
He had went to work out with Odell and Vidal that day.
Was he trying to gain muscles in that picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is he trying to gain muscles?
For a different position in football.
He didn't like the position he was in?
He wanted to go further.
I'm sorry.
He wanted to go further, so he just wanted to change positions.
Is that the kind of kid he was, always pushing himself, always wanting to go further?
Yes, ma'am.
Always wanting to do better?
Yes, ma'am.
I see, what is that on his shirt? Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am. It says, you only live once.
Is that how he carried himself? Each and every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Realizing that you only live once, you got to make the best of each day.
Yes, ma'am.
Show you what's in marked as State's Exhibit 3. What is he doing on that picture? Where is that?
That's at home. We were about to watch a movie.
Uh-oh, that's your TV buddy, huh?
Yes.
So you know he's going to be there for that.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that? What is he doing there?
Smiling for the camera.
Is that his nickname, Smile?
Yes, ma'am.
Why do they call him Smile?
Because he doing just what he normally did, which was smile.
He's always smiling.
Yes, ma'am.
Did his friends and other family members call him Smiling too?
No, ma'am. Just like his school buddies.
Was he always a happy kid?
For the most part, yes.
And you're saying you're all about to watch a movie, so I'm assuming that's a picture that was taken in your home. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's State's Exhibit number 4. How old was he in that picture?
He was in the 6th grade, so I would say probably maybe 12. I don't know exactly. That was his 6th grade graduation.
Okay. So and that's what I was about to ask. What was the occasion there?
Yeah, 6th grade graduation.
And what is that he's holding in his hand? It looks like it's upside down.
I think it's his perfect attendance or A and B honor roll. certificate.
So I think it's flipped over. It would have said, if it was standing up, it would have said Jordan Edwards, I'm assuming.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember, what is, I'm not forgot to ask, what, was he attending a certain school when he received that honor of perfect, you think it might have been perfect attendance?
It's either perfect attendance or A and B honor roll.
Do you know the name of the school he was attending?
Gentry Elementary.
Now, he was no longer in Gentry Elementary at the age of 15, is that correct?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, so at the age of 15, on about April 29, 2017, he was attending high school, or was he?
Yes, ma'am. He was at Mesquite High School.
And which grade was he in?
9th grade.
When did you last see your son, Jordan?
April 29th.
Do you remember the time of day?
It was earlier during the day.
Do you remember what day that was?
It was
The day of the week it was?
It was a Saturday.
What do you normally do on Saturday?
It kind of just depends. Sometimes it's lay around or run errands.
When was the last time you had a heart-to-heart talk with Jordan prior to April 29, 2017?
That Thursday prior.
Why did you feel like, why did that stand out for you?
Because by me not being his biological mother, he confirmed to me that he still felt like I was his mother.
How did he do that?
We just had a conversation, normal, and him and Vidal, they had a candy business where they would buy candy and take it to school and sell it to make money because neither one of them were working at the time. And he was sorting his candy for his stash that he had to sell. And I always asked him and Kavon, have they talked to their biological mother? Because I still wanted them to have a relationship with her. So we would always have conversations, have you talked to your mother? And he would tell me no. Both of them would, but at this particular time, it was Jordan that I was actually having a conversation with. And I asked him, had he talked to his mother? He told me no. I asked him, but have you tried to call her? Do you want to talk to her? And he said that it really didn't matter to him anymore if he talked to her or not. And then I asked him, well, do you look at me as if I'm your mother? And he said, you are my mother.
So that was on that Thursday prior to...
Yes, ma'am. That was like our last real heart-to-heart talk.
How did you feel when he told you, you are my mother?
It made me feel good because I tried to do my best and not treat them as they were different just because it wasn't my blood. So it made me feel good.
And did he do anything special that day prior to April 29th?
Not really. I mean, he did his normal chores that morning because their dad is like OCD, so he makes them clean everything. So they cleaned every single thing out that day. Room, washed clothes, vacuum, dust, they did everything that day.
Was that unusual for that day? He just did everything.
No, but it's like when Odell will get in a mood to where he just tired of looking at stuff, that's what happens. So the house is completely spotless.
So on that Saturday morning, you saw Jordan, and when I say that Saturday, I'm talking about April 29th, 2017. You saw him that morning, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And any reason why you didn't see him throughout the day? Did you do something?
Yeah, my friend had a party for her son for his 17th birthday, so we were kind of gone all day, ripping and running back and forth with that.
So do you know the last hour that you actually saw Jordan Edwards alive?
It was that around that morning noontime, but I don't know the exact time.
So were you ripping and running that whole day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you ripping and running with your daughter, Corey?
Yes, ma'am.
And where was your husband? Was he
He's
ripping and running too?
No, ma'am. He was at home cleaning with the boys.
So that's one thing you and your husband doesn't have in common.
No, ma'am.
How did you learn of Jordan's death?
Odell called me panicking.
Do you know about what time?
Not exactly.
When you say Odell called you, did you know at that point that he was dead, Jordan was dead?
No, ma'am.
So he called you and he was panicking. What did he say to you?
He said Vidal called and said that Jordan had been shot by the police.
So how did you react?
My first response was, what? Like, what are you saying?
Did you believe it?
No, ma'am. It's still hard to believe.
So what did you do after you received that call?
Me and Corey got in the car and we headed to the police station.
And did you see anyone or talk to anyone at the police station?
It was a guy at the window when I went in there, and I asked what was going on and asked them, I was trying to find my kids, but they really couldn't give me an answer of what was going on.
Did you remain at the police station?
Yes, until they told us that the body that they had was going to Baylor Hospital.
Now, when they said the body that they had was going to Baylor, did you know at that time they were talking about your son, Jordan?
No, I didn't know exactly who it was. I knew that they said Jordan had been hit, but I wasn't even sure if anybody else was hurt. I didn't know.
So did you remain at the police station or did you then go somewhere else?
I remained at the police station until they told us the hospital, and then we drove to the hospital.
And do you know about the time you arrived at the hospital?
No, ma'am.
So when you said we drove to the hospital, would that have been you and Corey?
Me, Odell, and Corey.
And your other boy, your other two sons, do you have any idea where they were?
No, ma'am.
So when you actually arrived at the hospital, did you talk to anyone there?
It was a lady at the window, and I gave her my phone with a picture of Jordan on there, and I said, can you look and tell me if you have this child here? And she took my phone, and she was gone for like 15 to 20 minutes. And she came back and she said, I really can't tell you who it is, but the person that we have has a gunshot wound to the back of the head. And at that time, I think she knew that it was him, but couldn't tell me that it was him.
So how did you finally learn about the death of your son?
The police, Chief Haber called me and told me.
So you didn't learn anything at the hospital that night?
No, ma'am.
So you left the hospital and eventually went home?
Yes. No, well, I went to the scene of where it happened, and the ballistics people were out there taking pictures, and I asked them, where are my kids? And at that time, they gave me a number to call and talk to some detectives.
But you indicated that Chief Haber was the one that called you and told you about your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you? Were you at home or were you out on the scene?
Driving.
You were driving. Were
Yes.
you driving back home?
No, driving to the scene.
Okay. So, and that's when you learned that your son
Yes,
had
ma'am.
died. Is that correct?
Yes.
For record purposes, and I want you to take a deep breath. Would you do that, please? Just for record purposes, I need you to look at State's Exhibit number 5. Okay? You don't have to look at it. But I need you to look at it. had, early on in my other exhibits, I asked you, were you familiar who was in those pictures? I need to ask again, can you tell us whether or not who you see in States Exhibit number 5 fairly and accurately depict your son after the shooting on April 29, 2017? Can you answer that, please? Sorry?
Jordan.
And he does accurately and fairly depict him, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, this time is actually, for record purposes, only tender to hold out. Thanks, please. No objection to record purposes only.
As long as it's only for the record, Your Honor, we have no objection.
State's Exhibit number 5 is admitted for record purposes only. Members of the jury, what that means is that's for the court. That will not be available for you for deliberations or for you to see. Only evidence that's been admitted for all purposes will you have. You may proceed, Ms. Johnson.
Ms. Edwards, just one final question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you react to the death of your son, Jordan?
I don't know if it's actually a way to react besides hurt.
And that hurt still exists today?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass it over.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Edwards, my name is Jim Lane. I'm an attorney here with Judge Boswell and Miles Brissett behind me. We're here to help our friend Roy Oliver. And I want you to know that we offer you and your family our deepest sympathy for the loss of your son.
Thank you.
That's all I've got, Judge.
Very good. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Shawna, please.
Very good. Ma'am, you may stand down.
Thank you.
Please watch your step on the way down. We appreciate that. Members of the jury, I know we started a little bit late, but she's been typing for some time now, so I'm going to give her a break. Go with the sheriff and please be ready to come back in 15 minutes. All rise for the jurors. Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Mr. Snipes, Mr. Gill, y'all may be seated. It's okay. Mr. Snipes, who's your next witness? All right. Do you anticipate there's any issues with his testimony regarding Garrity?
No, sir. Well, before.
I figured as much. If there is, though, would you please approach the bench before you do get into anything? Thank you very much. That's all. Court's in recess. She's good.
She's good?
Yeah. She's in the media. All right. Let's go back on the record. The record should reflect that we're outside the presence of the jurors. The lawyers are present. Mr. Oliver's present, as is the state. The court had inquired whether or not any of these witnesses would need to be addressed outside the presence of the jury pursuant to a motion in limine regarding Garrity information. The state's indicated to me that the next witness is one of those types of witnesses. Who will be handling this for the state?
Mr. Gladwell, but before we do that, Judge,
Yeah.
Judge Johnson has asked me to make it clear for the record that the reports that we gave them yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, are what? The night reports, underlying offenses involving the kids up there.
Is this the 41 pages that he was referring to?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that's what it is. So
You said a night report?
those night reports that show how similar guns could have been used in other offenses with DPD.
Okay. Mr. Brissett?
It's not actually those reports. On 12/13 of 17, somebody with ATF or Dallas Sheriff physical evidence section received a report with the projectiles that Judge Snipes talked about in opening statements. Some of them belong to a murder case in Dallas. Some of them belong to an ag assault. Those reports, the service numbers, we asked the state yesterday to turn those over 2 days ago. They provided them yesterday. Those are the basic, I guess, beef sheets, for the lack of a better term, from the reports for Dallas for that homicide and that ag assault. Doesn't have any of the additional witness statements or anything else. It's just the bare mainframe or case management reports.
Okay, very good. It's noted for the record. Ms. Wood, is there something happening?
It's not me.
Call your witness, please, Mr. Gladden.
Yes, Judge. Judge State calls Officer Gross.
Sir, if you would please approach the front of the courtroom. Before you have a seat on the witness stand, if you could raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Please have a seat. We'll be responding to questions for this hearing from Mr. Gladden, perhaps also Mr. Gill or Mr. Brissett to your left. You may proceed when ready. For purposes of this hearing, yes, sir, Mr. Gill?
So go ahead, you were about to tell us what I was going to ask, I think, which is what we're doing.
The defense filed a motion in limine. The state has asked the court for permission, I guess pursuant to that motion, to prove up that the foundation of this witness's knowledge would not be anything that came from a Garrity statement. Is that about right?
That's correct, Judge. The point of this hearing is to very quickly and simply show that the witness's testimony is derived from a source wholly independent from the Garrity statements made by the defendant.
Very good. Go ahead, Mr. Gladden. You may proceed when ready.
Good morning, Officer Gross. My name is Doug Gladden. Have we ever met?
No, sir.
Okay. Can you spell your full name for the record?
My name is Tyler Gross, Tyler. My last name is Gross, Gross.
And are you a Balch Springs police officer?
That's correct.
Are you familiar with the Balch Springs general orders regarding investigations into serious complaints against officers?
Yes. Well, I'm not versed in it, but yes, I'm familiar with it.
Are you aware that in an investigation into a serious complaint, there are two investigations, an administrative investigation and a criminal investigation?
Yes.
And are you aware that in the course of an administrative investigation, an employee, such as an officer, can be given certain warnings that are called Garrity warnings?
Yes.
Are you familiar with what Garrity warnings are?
Yes.
Are you familiar with what Garrity warnings mean?
Yes.
Okay. You're about to testify in this trial in front of a jury that is not currently present in the courtroom about what you saw on April 29, 2017. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you previously testified before a Dallas County grand jury in this case? Is that
That's correct.
Could you pull that microphone up? Thank you.
Officer Gross, the testimony that you're going to give today and the testimony that you gave before a Dallas County grand jury, what is, in very short, simple terms, what is the basis of the testimony that you're going to give? And if you don't understand that question, I can rephrase it.
Please rephrase it, please.
For example, are you going to testify based on what you observed personally on April 29, 2017?
That's correct.
Do you know if the defendant, Officer Oliver, gave any written or oral statement to Lieutenant Mark Merritt during the investigation of this case?
I do not know.
Okay. Who is Lieutenant Mark Merritt?
Lieutenant Merritt's our operations lieutenant supervisor. He's over patrol division.
If an internal administrative investigation were conducted, would Lieutenant Merritt be someone who would conduct that?
That's correct.
And you do not know if the defendant ever gave a statement to Lieutenant Merritt at all?
No, I do not know.
So it would be fair to say that if he had, you've never seen it?
That's correct.
And it would be fair to say that if he had, you don't know what the contents of that statement are?
That's correct.
Have you ever discussed the facts of this case with Lieutenant Merritt?
I have.
Okay. When did you do that?
After the case, after that night, after it happened, probably the next time I came to work or after that. I mean, I'm not sure. I've spoke to him several times about the proceedings. court dates. I mean, he's not my direct supervisor, but he's over my direct supervisor. He's my second in command, my chain of command.
Did he ever tell you any facts about the case?
No.
Have you ever spoken to a Lieutenant Hurley about this case?
Yes.
Has he ever told you any facts about this case?
No.
Have you ever spoken to Chief Haber about this case?
Yes.
Did Chief Haber ever tell you any facts about this case?
No.
Is it true, and I think this is repetitive, but I will ask it again, is the sole source of your testimony today your personal observations from April 29th, 2017?
Yes.
That's what it's judged.
Cross-examination,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Gill.
Briefly. Good morning, Officer Gross. My name's Bob Hill.
Morning, sir.
I represent Mr. Oliver, and I have a few questions for you this morning also.
Okay.
If you don't understand one of my questions, would you just let me know so I can rephrase it?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure we're both on the same page of the hymnal on this, all right?
All right.
As to the events of April the 29th of 2017 that we're going to be discussing here today, did you receive a Garrity warning?
No.
So all of your discussions with your supervisors, with Lieutenant Merritt, with other members of the Ball Springs Police Department were outside the Garrity context, is that right?
That's correct.
When you testified in front of the Dallas County Grand Jury, did you receive a set of warnings that we might refer to as suspect warnings in front of the Dallas County Grand Jury?
Was it when I was just sworn in, or?
When you were sworn in and began your testimony in front of the Dallas County Grand Jury?
I don't recall.
We'll stipulate that you did.
Okay.
Did you hear that stipulation?
Yes.
The Dallas County District Attorney's Office is agreeing that you did in fact receive the warnings that would be given to a person who was a suspect in an offense in front of the Dallas County Grand Jury.
Okay. I still don't remember. I don't remember actually receiving the warning or talking about it, but if they say they did and you say I did, then
Well, would you like
I probably did, so.
A court reporter thought you did too, because they took it down here.
Okay.
You want to see it?
No, sir.
How many times have you discussed these events with members of the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney's Office?
5 or 6 times.
And who would those persons be?
Counsel Snipes and his team, and his investigators.
Did those conversations occur down here in this building?
Yes. Well, they came to my house and showed me the video, or Officer Oliver's body camera video.
Judge, at this point, I'm going to object to the relevance of this line of questioning without any establishment that the prosecution team has ever seen any Garrity statements.
All right. Just continue to develop the testimony regarding the purpose of this hearing. It's overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. They came to your house on one occasion
Yes.
and showed you your body cam video?
No. Officer Oliver's body camera video.
And in addition to showing you the body cam video, was there any discussion about the events of April 29th of 2017?
I'm sure we discussed it while I was watching the video. I believe the purpose of the video is for me to authenticate that it was Oliver's body camera video.
Did they ask you questions about Oliver's body cam video?
I'm sure they did. I don't remember exactly what questions they were.
Did they give you information that they had about the events of April 29th of 2017?
They have given me information.
Did they, in addition to the body cam video, did they show you any
what we might call screen captures or still shots of the body cam video.
Yes, I've seen still captures of the body cam videos.
Was that on the occasion out at your house, or was that on other occasions?
That's on another occasion.
Have you also seen the video on other occasions?
Officer Oliver's body camera video. The only time I've seen Officer Oliver's body camera video, to my recollection, is when they did the forensic video where they were side by side, and then it had stills and both my body camera video recording and Officer Oliver's body camera video recording at the same time.
When the personnel came to your house on that occasion, were there any other persons who were witnesses to this event at the house also?
No.
Just you and the personnel from the Dallas County DA's office, right?
And yes, my family was also inside the house, but
How about at meetings with the Dallas County DA's office down here at the courts building?
anytime that we had a meeting with the prosecution and the DA's, I was separated from any other officers that were involved with the case.
Were those meetings audio recorded, to your knowledge?
I'm not sure. The last meeting I think we had, he had a recorder that was typing, much like a court reporter that was typing down what we spoke about.
Were you given an opportunity to look over that person's work before you left that day or at any other point?
No.
In addition to the meeting at your house when you met with the Dallas County District Attorney's Office people, on these other meeting occasions, were you shown your body cam video?
Yes.
When was the first time you were shown your body cam video?
That night I was shown my body cam video.
The night of August 29th?
That's correct.
April 29th?
That's correct.
Probably over into the morning of April 30th, all right?
Most likely.
How many of these meetings with the people from the Dallas County District Attorney's Office took place before you came down to give your grand jury testimony?
2, maybe 3. I couldn't be 100% sure.
But there were at least some meetings before the
Yes.
the grand jury testimony.
Yes.
Did you ever audio record any of these meetings?
No.
Did any of the meetings ever occur out at the Ball Springs Police Department?
I met with the one of the investigators at the Ball Springs Police Department when they're initially setting up for me to watch Officer Oliver's video, and at that time I didn't quite understand why I was watching it, so I denied watching it, and then later it was explained to me that I was just to authenticate that it was a fair representation of what Officer Oliver's body camera would be, and it was Officer Oliver's body camera.
When you had these meetings with the Dallas County DA's office people, was your lawyer always present with you?
Not always, no.
You said you met with them, you think 5 or 6 times. Of those 5 or 6 times, how many times was your lawyer present with you?
4, maybe 5.
So there was maybe 1 or 2 only that he wasn't present for?
That's correct.
In the early morning hours of April the 30th of 2017, not long after, the same evening the events occurred, did you meet with anybody from the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney's Office that evening?
What date was that?
Short, within a few hours of the events that are the basis of this prosecution, so that the late night, the final hour of April 29th of 2017, and over into the early morning hours of April 30th of 17.
Judge, I'm going to object to that question. Those hours would be before any Garrity statement made by the defendant at all, so I would object based on relevance.
You want to reply to that, Mr. Gill?
The Garrity warning occurred at 3:20 a.m., Judge.
Okay.
Yes, maybe I'm...
Well,
a little
let me,
off on this, but to me, that's the early morning hours.
all right, well, let's be real specific. We're really trying to get at whether the basis of his knowledge has anything to do with any Garrity statement, so streamline the process. Let's get to that point. You'll have plenty of time on cross-examination to ask some of these questions, I'm sure.
Do you know that Officer Roy Oliver on April 30th of 2017 received a Garrity warning?
I believe so.
But you don't know, do you?
No,
You didn't see it happen, did you?
no.
So on that morning of April 30th of 2017, did you meet with any member of the Dallas County Criminal District Attorney's Office, whether it be a prosecutor or an investigator?
I believe it was just Dallas County Sheriff's Department investigators.
Do you remember any names of people you met with?
I know that Deputy Whaley was collected my firearm and was the evidence technician. I know his name. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. No.
Does the name Carranza sound familiar?
Yes.
Right. Did you meet with
Yes.
Detective Carranza?
That's correct.
Have you met with Detective Carranza since that date?
That's correct. Yes.
How many times?
I believe just one time. We spoke on the phone several times about getting my firearm returned to me.
Is that the only thing you've spoken to Carranza about, is getting your firearm back?
I couldn't, possibly something else, but I'm not sure.
Well, did he ever interview you about the events of April 29th of 2017?
When did he?
Did he?
He did when I came here to this building, downstairs to the investigations department, and I had an interview with Detective Carranza and the other detective.
Do you know when that was?
It was about a week after the shooting. It was, I'm not sure, I was doing FTO training, or finishing up with FTO training.
Do you know whether or not that interview was video or audio recorded?
It was, both.
By him?
It was in the cameras that were in the ceiling.
In the early morning hours of April 30th, after these events, you were photographed by a crime scene officer at the Balch Springs Police Department, is that correct?
Judge, I'm going to object again, A, to a lack of specificity, saying early morning hours, whether that was before or after any Garrity statement made by the defendant. And then I would also object based on relevance.
How is it relevant, Mr. Gill?
We're trying to establish, first of all, I need to establish what time the photographs were taken.
For purposes of the Garrity hearing?
I haven't gotten that question yet. But it's our belief that they were after Garrity runners, and Officer Oliver was photographed at the same time, or shortly before, shortly thereafter. We don't know who took those photographs.
And Judge, how is that relevant to whether his testimony today is influenced by a Garrity statement? A photograph is not a statement.
Mr. Gill, any reply to that particular objection?
While the Dallas County DA's office may be privy to all the facts that surround this, we're not. And we need to ask a few questions so that we understand what went on that morning.
All right, I'm going to allow you to do that, but let's get to the point of whether or not this witness's testimony is going to be based on something other than his own personal knowledge about what he saw or heard that particular evening.
Judge, may I please correct the record? The District Attorney's Office is not privy to everything because we have not been exposed to Garrity material.
I understand what you're saying. The record's been very clear about your position. Ms. Rendon had the file, and apparently nobody else in the prosecution's team has. And go ahead.
Judge, it's a lot broader than that because at 5:30 a.m., Officer Oliver was required to do a walkthrough.
I understand that.
A lot of information was exchanged at that point.
Well, let's get to the part where If this officer was part of the walkthrough or would have overheard what you're contending is garrity, please, let's move there. Let's go there for this hearing.
Do you recall approximately what time photographs of you were taken?
I do not. It was in the morning, in the hallway, in the Balch Springs Police Department.
Was it after the walkthrough that you did with Dallas County Sheriff's investigators?
I can't be certain.
Was Roy Oliver photographed around the same time you were?
I cannot be certain. I don't.
We have nothing further.
Very good. Is there anything else?
Officer Grace, I'm going to ask you two questions just to clarify a couple of things. First, you said that when you met with the district attorney's office, you believed there was someone taking notes kind of like a court reporter. Do you remember saying that?
Correct.
Is it possible that that person was an intern typing notes on a computer instead of a court reporter?
Possible. That's what Councilman Snipes advised me, that she was taking notes of what I was saying.
If she's in this courtroom today, would you recognize her?
It's the young lady with the dark hair and the red lipstick behind the projector.
Judge, for the purposes of this hearing, can the record reflect that that young lady is an intern in our office?
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Gross, let's just absolutely be clear for what we're actually here for. You testified in a direct examination that what you're going to testify before the jury today is based on your personal observations on April 29th, 2017. And that you have never seen any garrity statements that were made by the defendant in this case, and you don't even know if he made it.
That's correct.
When you testified before the grand jury, do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
Before you testified in front of the grand jury, had you ever seen a garrity statement by the defendant?
No, sir.
Because that would make perfect sense. Were you present during the defendant's walkthrough with the Dallas County Sheriff's Office?
No.
Did you do your own individual walkthrough?
Yes.
And you were, okay. Nothing further, Judge.
Couple of questions, Your Honor. Officer Gross, you ever have a read a Dallas County Sheriff's Office report that pertains to this matter?
No.
To your knowledge, did anyone share the contents of that report with you?
No. But it was, I mean...
You saying councilman?
Or, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
Mr. Snipes.
Do you know where Mr. Snipes got that information?
No, I do not.
We pass the witness.
Very good. You don't have any more questions, do you?
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Members of the jury, thank you for your patience. I wish I could tell you that I know for sure that'll be the last time. I'll say 15 minutes and it will turn into something more, but probably won't be, so I'm not going to lie before I even start. But what I do want you to know is that we're doing the best that we can to make sure that your time in court is used expeditiously and that we don't have to shuffle you in and out. First thing, I don't want you to draw any inferences from the fact that you weren't in here. Second of all, I certainly don't want you to hold any delays in this trial against any of the lawyers or any of the parties involved. It's my schedule, it's my trial, it's my fault, so please don't. With that being said, sir, if you could please raise your right hand. You don't have to stand up. You can just say right there. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do.
Very good. Put your hand down. Be responding to questions from Mr. Snipes directly in front of you, and perhaps either Mr. Gill or Mr. Brissett to your left. Mr. Snipes, you may proceed when ready.
Please state your full name for the record, starting first and last name.
Tyler Donald Gross, Tyler Gross.
Yeah, okay. And how are you currently employed, sir?
Police officer of the Balch Springs Police Department.
And what are your duties there?
I work in the patrol division as a patrol officer and also in the firearms instructor.
What does being a firearms instructor entail?
I complete all the qualifications for the department and training as far as firearms and for the department.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what training you've had?
I went through the police academy at COG in Arlington. Then I went through an FT program, which is about 17 weeks, with the Balch Springs Police Department.
When did you start with Balch Springs?
I started in 2012, November 2012.
Okay. Did you have any previous law enforcement positions in Balch Springs?
No, sir.
But you were a soldier with the 4th Infantry Division in Iraq in 2004, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. All right. And I'll take you to the night of April 29th, 2017. Were you on duty that night?
Yes, I was.
What were your hours?
6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Is that kind of normal for you to have those hours?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Were you patrolling what's called the 63 beat then?
I'm not sure. I believe so.
You identified yourself on body cams as 63, so can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that means?
We have it broken up into sections, which would be beat. 3 beat would be from Elam Road over to Cheyenne Road and then back over to Shepherd and then south of there. So just the city.
Are you familiar with 64 beat?
Yes, I am.
Where's that?
4 beat would be anything east of that, and then basically everything east of 635 except for the Royals neighborhood, which is south of Elam and west of Shepherd.
But everything you did on April 29th and the early morning hours of April 30th in the county of Dallas,
That's correct.
state of Texas.
That's correct.
Up until 11 o'clock, anything unusual happened during your patrol activity that night?
Not to my recollection.
But at 11 o'clock p.m. on April 29th, did you get a call out to go over to Bear Drive?
Yes.
Will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury about that?
It was a call of either a loud noise or a loud party on Barron Drive, and that there were a bunch of drunken teenagers running around.
Okay. That's what was reported to you, but during the course of your investigation in this case, including going in the house and so forth, did you see any drunk teenagers?
No, sir.
And y'all went through the house, right?
Correct.
You see evidence of a bunch of alcohol drinking or anything like that?
I saw 1 beer bottle.
1 beer bottle. So do you know what time you got to 12304 Bear Drive?
Approximately after 11 p.m.
Would it surprise you it was 1106?
No, sir.
And you had body cam on that night, correct?
That's correct.
And will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that is and how those work?
Well, I didn't wear it today. I wear a body camera on my chest that records audio and visually of any contact I have with the public or any incident that I go to or all the calls I go to.
And did you activate your body cam tonight?
Yes, I did.
Have you also looked at the defendant's body cam?
Yes, I have.
And from you being at the scene and you looking at that, does that fairly and accurately portray the events of the late night of April 29th?
Yes, sir.
And yours as well?
That's correct.
So are you familiar with that area around 12304 Barron Drive from your various patrols?
Yes, sir.
Back over to you.
You may.
I'm not quite sure I understood what your ruling was on that. Do we need to do 1 per witness or not at all?
Not at all from now on. My experience tells me the 1 per witness rule can be confusing.
That's
Go ahead.
Now I'm showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 6 and State's Exhibit 7. Do you recognize those?
Yes.
And what are those?
This is a satellite image map of the Royals neighborhood, which is south of Malcolm and east of Shepherd. And this is just a drawn map of the roads.
And do both of those include Barron Drive?
That's correct.
And do those fairly and accurately portray the area around Barron Drive and Bishop Drive and Shepherd as they appeared on April 29, 2017?
Yes, sir.
And I've previously shown these to my colleague, Mr. Gill, so we will offer those at this time, State's Exhibit 6 and State's Exhibit 7.
No objection, Judge.
Mr. Brissett, states 6 and 7 are admitted for all purposes and may publish.
And we have blown up forms of these, and I don't believe there's any objection to us using those in lieu of 6 and 7.
Those we weren't shown the other day when we asked if they existed, but I guess they do now. I don't have an objection.
All right, 6 and 7 are admitted for demonstrative purposes?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, the blow-ups are admitted.
Blow-ups are demonstrative, these for all purposes.
6 and 7 for all purposes, and the blow-ups are admitted for demonstrative purposes.
And for the record, Mr. Gill was gracious enough to look at those during the last play. He told me he didn't have an objection.
Thank you very much.
Can the witness step down, Judge?
He may. How do you intend on doing that? All right, you might want to move it over just a little bit. I want to make sure that, and if you all need to move, Mr. Brissett, Mr. Gill, please do. I just want to make sure everybody can see what's happening. He'll get those, Sheriff. Mr. Brissett, you can go to the corner over there, perhaps, maybe over here by the witness, just wherever's convenient for you. Okay. Well, all right. Why don't you all just stand behind the state if you need to. Over this way, you can see plenty well right there. Just be careful of your notes, anything that's written down, not being seen by anybody who shouldn't see it, okay? These are foam boards, are they not, Mr. Snipes? All right.
Can the witness come up and explain this to the jury?
Please do. And one thing I'll caution you, if you could have the witness stand right where you're standing so that Miss Wood can hear everything, I would greatly appreciate that. Go ahead, sir.
Tell the jury basically what we're looking at here.
This is 635, it runs approximately north and south. Well, this is actually north and south where Shepherd runs, so this is north, east, and southwest. And then this is Knight, Spring Branch, and Merritt Drive, Squire, Bishop, and these are apartment complex, it's just south of Bishop. This is also Ambassador Way, it loops also back into Shepherd, further up on the map.
It's kind of a unique thing about this area that all these roads are named after British nobleman titles, like Knight and Duke and Duchess, right? Okay. And if you can say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is Barron Drive, is that right?
That's correct.
And you recognize this yellow square here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that going to be 12304 Barron Drive?
That's correct.
Where the park?
Mr. Snipes, can we take something up with the judge very quickly? Sure.
Sure. Come on up here, please.
He's right, it's not my call number, so we just redact that if it's okay.
Members of the jury, on that exhibit, there's a cause number. That's a typographical error. This is the same case, same charge. Nothing different. It's just a wrong number. Go ahead, Mr. Snipes.
So, these houses here are numbered 12312, 12308, 12304, correct?
Correct.
All right. And these roads all run east-west, is that right?
That's correct.
And Shepherd runs north-south, is that right?
That's correct.
And what's depicted here at the intersection of Barron and Shepherd on actually the east side?
This is a old folks home or a nursing home, and this is the baseball complex, and this is a rec center. The Baltimore City Rec Center.
And is that sometimes referred to as a rehabilitation center?
The nursing home?
Yes. You may not know.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were summoned to 12304 Barron Drive, what direction did you come from?
I believe I came north on Ambassador and then east on Barron. I know I came east on Barron, I'm just not sure if I came north or south on Ambassador. So I came
This direction being to the east.
east and west.
Did you park your car out in front of 12304 Barron Drive?
Directly in front of it.
And then you had lights and sirens on too, did you not?
I had my lights on when I parked, but I had my sirens on all the way down the road.
And what was the purpose of that?
So the crowd would disperse.
And in fact, you had that conversation with Mr. Rhodes inside his house, right?
That's correct.
And then you could say yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And then where was Mr. Oliver's patrol car parked?
It was parked directly behind my vehicle.
But both of you were facing to the east,
That's correct.
and both of you had your overhead lights on.
That's correct.
And then at about 11:13:15, your body cam comes on. It's actually, that's Mr. Oliver's body cam. Yours is about an hour and 20 minutes different from his. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why that might be?
Objection, speculation.
I'm sorry, hang on just a second.
First objection would be speculation if he knows or doesn't know. And the second would be leading.
Okay, both of those objections are overruled at this point. Only testify about your personal knowledge if you know. And don't lead the witness. Go ahead.
Do you know?
My body camera, the one that I had, was set for daylight savings time, and it never got changed. The time never was changed.
Okay, so that might explain it.
Yes.
So you get there at 11:06 and you activate your body cam, but it doesn't come on for a few minutes. Can you explain to the jury why that would be?
When I have my body camera set, I have it set to the power off, and then it has another switch on the other side. It has an auxiliary, so it can tell if someone starts talking, it comes on automatically. So when I get out of my squad car, I turn it on, it has to boot up, and then it starts recording. And if there's any kind of noise, if I turn it on, there was no noise, and I was in a quiet room, and I was then it would stay off, and I wouldn't make any noise, so it came on.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you observed as far as the people that were at that party and that sort of thing?
Bunch of high school aged kids coming out of the house, lots of them, more and more kids than belong in one house, probably 100 or 150 kids coming out of the front of the house and exiting, and some producing blood that was in the front yard, and desperately trying to get away from it.
Were they doing anything improper that you saw?
No,
Were they disobeying you any time?
no, sir.
Okay. Did you see any indications of violence or fighting between them or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Eventually, around 11:15:45, you and the defendant go into the house, is that right?
That's correct.
Why?
To see whose house it was and who was running the party, just to get to break up. I mean, it was after curfew. I didn't see any evidence of alcohol or any wrongdoing. They were just causing a disturbance by being extra loud and probably even a fire hazard against some of the people inside the house.
Well, curfew was coming up,
Yes,
12 o'clock.
that's correct.
All right, so did you find out who the person was whose house it was?
That's correct.
Who was that?
Mr. Rhodes, I don't know his first name.
Did Norris sound right?
I can be sure.
When the body came from? So did you have discussions with him?
I did.
And what was the purpose of that?
Just to tell him to not be having such large parties and to calm down and end it for the night.
Did you ascertain? We're done with the diagram, we all have to see.
Are you done? If you- Mr. Lewis? Mr. Lewis, could you do me a, hand me the Exhibit 6 and 7? I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Did you also try and figure out who was staying at Norris cleanup?
That's correct. I didn't identify any of those subjects, though.
Just a few of them.
That's correct.
So the exchange that you had with those kids inside that house, would you describe that as friendly,
Yes,
even some joking around?
yes,
Do you remember using the term hamburger at some point?
yes, sir.
Okay, will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you did that?
He had a striped shirt on. It looked like the Hamburglar shirt
From the cartoon?
from McDonald's.
So, let me ask you this. Most of the time that you're inside that house, did you just think it was going to be peacefully broken up and that was going to be it?
Absolutely.
No problems with any of the kids as far as them being impolite to you or not following your instructions or anything like that?
Not at all.
And to your credit, the reciprocal of that, you were nice to them and polite to them.
I try to be.
Objection leading, Your Honor.
All right, sustained. It's the last one. Go ahead.
All right, so at 11/17/43, did that all change?
Yes.
Did you hear what appeared to be gunfire? Objection leading.
Objection sustained.
Did you hear an unusual sound, sir?
Yes.
And what did you believe that to be?
I believe it to be gunfire.
So what did you do, Officer Rose?
I exited the house and proceeded to move in the direction that I felt that the gunfire was coming from.
And what direction was that?
The east,
Towards the nursing home?
towards Ambassador and the nursing home.
Not Ambassador.
Oh, not Ambassador, I'm sorry, Shepherd. Towards Shepherd, and the intersection of Shepherd and
And what was your goal in going over there?
just to find out if what's going on, just to contain the scene, if there was any victims or maybe an active shooter, because there was so many gunshots that went off.
Did you ever stop any traffic?
Yes, I did.
One car.
That's correct.
Then, as you were walking east, did you see a car that was backing up away from you?
I did.
And was that car ever driving towards you or driving fast?
Objection, compound question, Your Honor. Asking for two responses.
Sustained.
Okay. Was the car driving towards you?
It was backing away from me at that
Backing
point.
away from you? Was it going fast?
It was going slow, about walking pace.
Did you try and stop that car?
I did.
All right. And without using the actual cuss word, will you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what words you used to try and stop that car?
At first, I shined my flashlight on it in the windshield of it as it was backing away from me. I said stop, and then I started reading its license plate. I read the license plate twice on the radio. About the second time I started reading the license plate, the second iteration of the license plate, I realized that the vehicle was actually trying to flee and not just backing up. At that point in time, I started yelling at the vehicle to stop the car, stop the car. And I think I said it either two or three times. You told me not to use the language. Yes,
Second car.
that's correct.
So you've observed both these body cams, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you recall what time that the car actually stopped on Shepherd and started proceeding south?
I do not.
Okay, so I'll show you the body cam and you can tell the ladies and gentlemen about that. Eventually, did you actually reach the car?
Yes.
And would that have been on the right rear wheel?
It would be, yeah, the right rear passenger
The
window.
side tire?
Yes,
Okay. And then did you have your service weapon out?
I did.
Have a flashlight on it?
I did.
Okay. And did you rap on the window, the right rear passenger window?
I struck the window, yes, sir.
What was the purpose of that?
just to continue to get the attention of the driver.
Were you trying to break it out?
I wasn't necessarily trying to break it out, no.
Were you trying to do anything mean to those kids in that car?
I just wanted him to stop, sir.
All right, so shortly after the window was broken out, very quickly, did you hear some gunfire?
Yes, sir.
And was that to your right?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any of the shots fired?
No, sir.
Did you later learn who shot those rounds?
I did.
Who was that?
It was Officer Oliver.
Do you recognize Officer Oliver here in the courtroom? Defendant Oliver?
I do.
If you do recognize him, could you point to him, please, and describe an article of clothing?
It's Officer Oliver with the blue tie and the gray blazer.
The person standing up.
That's correct.
Do you know or did you see anything that the defendant Oliver might have seen?
No.
Were you yourself ever scared?
No.
Did you ever feel the need yourself to fire your weapon?
No.
Having reviewed the body cams that you have, do you have an opinion as to whether or not the Doll Allen driving that 2004 Chevrolet was trying to drive towards you or away?
Objection, speculation, Your Honor.
He's viewed the body cams, Judge.
All right.
Well, he's viewed something. I don't know if it's the body cams because there's been 8 different versions of them given to us. So I don't know which exhibit Mr. Snipes was talking about first.
Okay.
Second, I don't know if you can speculate based on what version it is.
All right, the objection sustained. Just clarify which body cam it is.
Showing you that open market State's Exhibit 10. You recognize that, sir?
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize it?
It's my signature and the date of 7/25/18 and my name and badge number 541.
So this is the body cam that you had that night, the night of April 29, 2017. Is that right?
That's correct.
We offer State's Exhibit 10, right?
Any objections?
Yes, Your Honor. I haven't seen what's on the disc first off.
This is all
The officer
body
just
cam.
said, sorry, they're talking. The
It's not
officer
talking
just-
anymore. Go ahead.
The officer just said that it was his body cam on that disc. The body can't fit on the disc, so it's improper predicate. Plus, I don't know which version of the 8 of the videos is on that disc.
Okay. State's exhibit number, would you like to develop the record a little bit more specifically with regard to that particular
I made a
disc?
mistake, Judge. State's Exhibit 8 is your body cam, right?
Yes.
How do you recognize that?
It has my initials and badge number and 7/13/18.
Okay. You looked at both of these body cams, correct?
Yes.
Do they fairly and accurately portray the events that took place on the night of April 29, 2017?
Yes, they do.
And they're basically movies,
Correct.
and they do fairly and accurately portray what happened out there.
Yes.
We offer State's Exhibit 10, State's Exhibit 8.
Take those over, Your Honor.
Go ahead, please.
Officer Gross, good morning. My name is Miles Brissett. I have a few questions for you about those exhibits. Did you make those exhibits? Did you actually copy the data from a device?
No.
There are general orders for how you use mobile video equipment in the city of Balch Springs, correct?
Correct?
And there's a maintenance section that's referenced in those general orders for how those body cameras are supposed to be used and maintained. Is that correct?
Correct?
Do you know those verbatim and by heart, those maintenance procedures?
No.
Have you ever seen a copy of them?
I've seen the general orders or the policy on it. I don't know them verbatim though, sir.
There's a general orders that says you have to follow the maintenance policy of the manufacturer. Have you seen the maintenance policy of the manufacturer, sir?
No, sir.
So, in essence, you're violating a general order every time you put it on because it says you have to follow the general orders maintenance procedures from that company. Is that correct?
This is what you're telling me.
You're the one that's familiar with it, correct?
I'm not as familiar with it as you described.
So, do you know what happened to your body-worn video? The camera itself, does it have a device capable of recording the stuff accurately inside of it?
Are you speaking about the SIM card that's inside of it or the actual how it works?
Is it a SIM card?
There's a SIM card that goes inside of it.
And SIM cards can only record 256 bytes of data, so Could it have something else other than a SIM card? Because video can't fit on a SIM card.
I have no idea.
So you don't have any idea what the other recording platform might be on the actual camera?
I have no idea.
And you and Officer Oliver were wearing the same type of camera that night?
I believe so.
Your Honor, you can't meet the predicate for this. We object at this point.
All right. Objection to 8 and 10 are overruled. State's Exhibits 8 and 10 are admitted for all purposes. You may publish. Mr. Gill?
We didn't understand that they were offering 10 at this point, Judge. We're going to have some, we don't even know what it is, first of all. Second of all, I believe we're going to have some additional objections to 10.
You're asking to take up 10 at a later time. Mr. Snipes?
No, sir. Both of these, Officer Gross can say both of these are fair and accurate depictions of what happened on the night of April 29th, which is the predicate.
All right, very good. The objection is overruled. 8 and 10 are admitted for all purposes. I'll give you a running objection to State's Exhibit, well, 8 and 10, I believe.
We didn't know 10 was being offered. We would like to ask some additional questions.
The offer that I heard was at 8 and 10, but please go ahead and ask if you wish for objections you have to State's 10.
Officer Gross, in State's Exhibit 10, that's Officer Oliver's body camera, is that correct?
That's correct.
And having looked at what's on there, were you familiar with the vantage point that Officer Oliver had that night?
No.
Were you familiar with what was captured on that as he walked up? Or is it the first time that you actually observed what Officer Oliver got to see different than yours? Did he have a different vantage point than you did?
Yes, he did.
And was he behind you then, to the right, obstructed by you slightly when he's looking forward at you?
I guess I'm not tracking.
Are you familiar with every movement that Officer Oliver did on that video?
No.
The video itself, do you know firsthand knowledge of whether Officer Oliver's body camera itself was capable of recording video and audio accurately that night?
I mean, it recorded. I don't know exactly what you're asking me.
Well, do you know how much the frame rate is of the video on your camera versus daytime versus nighttime based on your general orders for that camera?
No.
Do you know if it records at a different speed?
I have no idea.
Have you seen any instances of where the video was jerky in the past?
I have no idea.
When you say the video,
like frame rate,
hang on
or
just a second. Hang on just a second, please. When you say the video, are you referring to 10, 8, or generally speaking?
Generally speaking, but I can go specifically since you already ruled on 8, State's Exhibit 10.
All right, go ahead.
My apologies, Judge.
That's all right.
So with State's Exhibit number 10, can you tell us what the frame rate of the video is on this?
No, I cannot.
Can you tell if it's running like the TV cameras that are in here today at 30 frames a second, or is it something less?
I would imagine it's less because they look like they're pretty serious cameras.
And suffice it to say, since this is such a serious matter, that if your cameras at Balch Springs that they gave you to wear to document stuff were not recorded at the same frame rate you watch on TV every night, then things could be missed. Is that possible?
It's possible, but again, I'm not a technician by any
Beyond your pay
means.
grade?
Yes.
Your Honor, again, we would object. Officer Gross could not possibly be in the same position as Officer Oliver to authenticate the views that were captured by Officer Oliver's body-worn camera that night. Improper predicates in delay.
All right, your objection to State's 10 is overruled. Those exhibits are admitted over your objections, 8 and 10, for all purposes. You may publish when ready. And I will give you a running objection to 10, too. I believe you asked me for that.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're going to publish State's 10 first, Judge, and what we will office.
Yes, sir.
What I'm going to do, Judge, with your permission, is run through one time, and then after I've done that, then I'll go back and develop some more testimony from officers.
Ms. Wood, how you doing? Just for the court's edification, how long are you going to how long is the first video that you're going to play through?
A few minutes, Judge.
Yes, sir.
playing, for clarification, they're playing the whole state's aid because it's more than 10 minutes. Or that disc isn't what state's aid is been reported to be.
Mr. Snipes?
I'm not playing all of it.
Okay.
Your Honor, you have the sheriff's move TV so the jury can see.
Sure. There you go. I got lots of people pointing at me. Are we good?
Julie Barnes telling me that.
Hang on.
That light there,
Okay, hang on just a second. I'm sorry. Mr. Snipes.
Ms. Mark is saying there's a glare up there. I asked you to correct me somewhere.
The license.
Let's start the video and we'll see if everybody can see it. How about that? All right. Can everybody see that? And really, I'm talking to the jurors first. We good? The attorneys, can y'all see? I don't know what I can do about a shiny TV screen, Miss Houston.
Officer Gross, that time there, that's military time, correct?
This is 24-hour clock, yes, sir.
Can you interpret for the jury what time would be for civilians?
11:13 p.m.
And what's the 16 there?
That's the seconds.
So 11:13 to 16 seconds.
That's correct.
What's going on there?
We're sitting in front of the house, and there's kids coming out the front door, and there's a mud hole right by that back tire right there. They're trying to walk through and dance around.
Is that you there in front?
That's correct.
It's like a sardine can. They just keep coming out.
Nose officer all over his voice.
Huh?
You know, they nice shoes on that Jordan and stuff. There you go.
I gotta find Neil.
Huh? 64, we're going to be at 12,304.
That's good.
Just mine, ain't gonna hurt you. All right, good. Yeah, keep going. There you go. It's mud, not lava. It ain't gonna hurt you. There you go.
We don't got no swap boots on there.
All right, let's keep moving. Where are these people coming back? Let me go that way. I'm serious, it's mud, not lava. Y'all good. I go to
Yes,
there, you go that way. Yeah, it's mud. Not lava. It ain't gonna hurt you.
Yes, sir. The moment I entered the house, I believe I was already inside the house. I told him that if you're having a party and you hear sirens down the road, it's time to leave. It's time to break up the party.
Did the host agree with you on that?
Yes, he did.
Did you ask for identification?
I did.
What was the result of that?
He produced an identification card, Texas identification card.
So that's the thing that kind of
Yes.
Very pleasant exchange with everybody, no problems at all. Right?
No problems.
Hey, Leo, Mr. Rhodes. Who's all staying?
You're asking who's on stage, what are you trying to figure out?
Yes, sir.
Who needs to stay in the house and who needs to be on their way?
Stay at the house for what purpose?
Well, if they're staying at the house, either they live there or they're staying the night there or they're just going to remain at the house and not leave.
Did you have a discussion about cleaning up the house?
Yeah, he said that there's going to be several people there. He pointed to several young men.
Hang on just a second. I'm sorry?
Question, the hearsay is asking what a person other than the officer is saying.
Not the truth of the matter, Judge.
All right, the objection is sustained for that limited purpose. Go ahead.
Go ahead, girl.
I asked if these people were staying or something along that guards. There's several young men standing in the living room with us. He said, yeah, they're going to stay and help clean up the house.
You sustained the objection.
No. If I did, what I meant to say was overruled. The objection is overruled. I apologize, Mr. Brissett. I'm allowing the objection pursuant to the state of mind of the declarant. Go ahead.
You and I have watched this together.
I've only seen Officer Oliver's video one time. Mine, yes.
I stood there and made him go right into it just for a few minutes, just to have some fun.
What's he referring to there?
I couldn't hear him.
Have some fun. I stood there and made him go right into it just for a few minutes, just to have some fun.
You know what he's referring to?
I believe the mud.
All these millennials like, it's muddy! Uh-huh. Ain't gonna hurt you.
Yes, it was.
Just a few seconds. You're allowed to.
Hey, hamburger, come here. Let's see.
Maybe.
Some of this is pretty much all the time. Yeah, this is a one-time thing.
That's the host of the house, one kind of thing.
I can't hardly hear. It's on the video.
Are you also asking what high school you went to?
I asked him what high school he went to, yes.
What was the response to that?
He said he went to West Mesquite.
Did he tell you other high schools were out there?
He said that there was other kids there from Mesquite High School. And he said I think he said it was mostly Mesquite.
Yeah, this is a one-time thing.
Mr. Rhodes, I'm Officer Rhodes, okay? Officer Rhodes, I don't see this.
Yeah, this is, I ain't expected to get this title.
64 shots fired.
What did you think that was?
Gunfire.
In fact, did you hear the defendant say 64 shots fired?
I heard him on my radio.
What did you do at that point, once you believed that there were shots fired to your east?
No, I immediately moved towards the station where I believe the shots came from to secure the scene, render aid to any casualties, and maybe secure the suspect.
Doing your job.
That's correct.
What'd they do?
'em. I believe so.
10-4 is
11-18-10, right?
Correct.
10-4 is shots came around somewhere in the Shepherd area by the nursing home.
See
those lights up there by the stop sign? Is that
Yes,
the
sir.
Chevrolet Impala?
Yes, sir.
Have you started yelling at it yet?
If my flashlight's on it, is when I first started to yell at it. So if it's illuminated inside the windshield, you'll be able to tell if I'm yelling at it at this point.
Okay. I want you to pay attention, Officer Gross, to 11/18/28, when that comes up.
Your Honor, I apologize. He's talking over the recording. I'm going to object to reading and then speculation as well.
All right. Mr. Snipes, if you wouldn't mind, if you're going to ask a question, just pause it. The objection is overruled. Go ahead.
Also there, it looked like the defendant, Officer Oliver, started running
Yes,
towards where you were.
correct.
All right, now the time is 11:18:34. So you haven't reached the car yourself yet, correct?
I'm not sure from watching his video.
You all right? Yeah, fine. He was trying to hit you.
Remember that conversation with the defendant right there?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what he asked you, what you said, and what he said after that?
Yes, if I was all right. I said yes or yeah, and he said he was trying to hit you.
And that was it.
Yes.
Did you say anything about how the car was trying to hit you and him?
No.
Did you say anything about how he thought any shots were being fired from the inside of that car?
No.
64 black Cadillac, southbound Shepherd. Turn on to standby. Bishop going towards Ambassador.
That's all I want to publish from this particular exhibit.
Is that number 8 or 10? Number 10?
That's 10.
All right, very good.
Now, see?
You may, go ahead.
So, recapping, up until 11/17/43, inside that house, you and the kids were having a very cordial, nice exchange,
That's correct.
and then everything changed.
That's correct.
And so, what happened over the next 54 seconds? If you describe that to the jury.
I heard several loud pops. It sounded like, appeared to be gunfire to me. I exited the house. I proceeded eastbound on Barron Drive. The kids that had ran out of the house and went eastbound on Barron Drive were then running back westbound on Barron Drive back to the house and screaming. I stopped the vehicle that was turning around in the middle of the road. They complied. I continued eastbound on Barron Drive, where I observed several kids cowering in between houses. I observed another vehicle that was started backing away from me on Barron Drive towards the end. I yelled for it to stop. I shone my flashlight on it, and then I yelled for it to stop. I began reading its license plate. On the second iteration of this license plate over the radio, I realized that the vehicle was then attempting to evade and
Read the license plate.
to identify the vehicle just in case it was the suspect or the shooter or any reason at all. At that point, I realized that it was trying to evade me and not just backing up. Do you
The car eventually stopped up on Shepherd.
Yes.
Was it facing south?
Yes.
And then you reached the car, and tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where you were when you finally got to the car.
Do you want me to skip the part where it turned, or do you want me to just start back where I was at?
Yes.
Okay, so then I read the license plate twice. On the second iteration of reading the license plate, I realized the vehicle was attempting to evade instead of just backing up. I then began telling him to stop the car, and at that point I walked up. The vehicle had backed up and then backed north onto Shepherd. So from eastbound Barron to northbound Shepherd. As it backed up like this, I stepped up onto Shepherd Road ahead of the vehicle, and the vehicle then stopped briefly. I thought it was going to stop. I continued towards the vehicle, then accelerated forward, driving past. I then reached out and I hit the vehicle, which broke the rear passenger window. Immediately after that, I heard a series of gunshots as the vehicle then traveled down south on Shepherd. I then turned and saw that Oliver was standing next to me, and I saw the smoke from his weapon. I then
What
first
did you
I
conclude from the smoke coming from his weapon?
that he was the one that had shot.
Did you ever feel like that the Allen driver of that car was trying to drive over you or hit you?
I didn't. I was not in fear at that point.
Your Honor, maybe we publish the other two. What do you want? Take one.
I think the best thing to do, members of the jury, would be to take our lunch break. If you would, please be back in the jury room, ready to go at 12:50 to start testimony at 1 o'clock. All rise for the jurors. You all may be seated. Court's in recess. Let me see the lawyers real quick, please. Sir, you may stand down. Thank you.